What if the person you trusted most turned out to be the one you should fear the most? Dr. John Schneeberger wasn't just a doctor. He was a predator who used his position to commit unimaginable crimes. But what makes this story even more disturbing isn't just the abuse, it's the way he outsmarted the justice system for years. Using a method so bizarre it sounds like fiction, Schneeberger became the doctor who almost got away with it. This is the terrifying case of a man who betrayed everyone who trusted him. It started in 1992 in the small town of Kipling, Saskatchewan. Cindy, a 23-year-old woman, visited Dr. John Schneeberger, her family doctor, for help during a difficult period in her life. She trusted him, as most people trust their doctors, and never imagined what was about to happen. During her appointment, Schneeberger offered Cindy a sedative, claiming it would help her relax. But what Cindy didn't know was that the sedative had been laced with a powerful drug that would render her unconscious. When Cindy woke up, she felt groggy and disoriented, with haunting flashes of memories that didn't make sense. Memories of being touched and violated. Terrified and confused, Cindy reported her experience to the police. Investigators ordered Schneeberger to provide a blood sample to test for DNA. But when the results came back, there was no match. Cindy was left devastated. She knew what had happened, but the evidence wasn't on her side. The betrayal by someone she trusted deeply was compounded by the disbelief of others, and for a while, it seemed like Schneeberger was untouchable. For years, Cindy's case remained unresolved, and Schneeberger continued to practice medicine, enjoying the admiration and trust of his community. But in 1993, a new accusation emerged, this time from someone even closer to him. Schneeberger's teenage stepdaughter came forward with a horrifying claim. He had been assaulting her for years. At first, her mother, Schneeberger's wife, refused to believe her. After all, Schneeberger was a respected doctor, a man of status. But as the accusations piled up and the details became undeniable, her mother was forced to confront the truth. The police launched another investigation and requested another DNA test from Schneeberger. Once again, the results came back negative. For the second time, Schneeberger had seemingly dodged justice. But how? How could two separate victims make such specific accusations, yet the evidence didn't match? The stepdaughter, like Cindy, was left feeling betrayed, not just by her stepfather, but by a system that couldn't protect her. What no one realized at the time was how far Schneeberger had gone to cover his tracks. He wasn't just a predator, he was a manipulative mastermind who had found a way to cheat science itself. Schneeberger had implanted a thin plastic tube filled with another man's blood into his arm. Every time authorities drew blood for a DNA test, it came from the tube rather than his veins. This bizarre and almost unbelievable method allowed him to evade detection for years, fooling investigators and prolonging his freedom. But Cindy refused to give up. Her determination to find justice led her to hire a private investigator. The investigator managed to obtain DNA from Schneeberger's hair and saliva, samples he couldn't fake. When tested, these samples matched the DNA found on Cindy the night of her assault. Finally, the truth was exposed. The scheme that had protected Schneeberger for so long was unraveling, and his victims were one step closer to justice. In 1997, after years of evading justice, Schneeberger was finally arrested. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and his bizarre scheme became a key focus of the trial. As the details of his crimes came to light, the community that had once respected him was left in shock and disgust. During the trial, Schneeberger's calm demeanor contrasted sharply with the horrific nature of his actions. He showed no remorse, even as the court heard testimony from Cindy and his stepdaughter. In 1999, he was convicted of multiple counts of sexual assault and sentenced to 6 years in prison. Though his sentence was criticized as being too lenient, he was stripped of his medical license and permanently deported to South Africa after serving his time. For his victims, it was a bittersweet victory. The man who had caused them so much pain was finally held accountable, but the scars of his actions would remain forever. The case of John Schneeberger is terrifying not just because of his crimes, but because of how he manipulated trust and science to avoid justice. His victims, Cindy and his stepdaughter, showed incredible courage in the face of disbelief and systemic failures. Their persistence eventually brought a predator to justice, but the emotional toll of his actions can never truly be erased. For Cindy, the betrayal by her trusted doctor shattered her faith in those sworn to help. For Schneeberger's stepdaughter, the abuse she endured at the hands of a man meant to protect her left deep emotional scars. Yet through their bravery, they ensured that Schneeberger could never harm anyone else again. This story is a chilling reminder of how easily trust can be weaponized, but it's also a testament to the resilience of survivors. Cindy and the stepdaughter's fight for justice reminds us all that no matter how powerful a predator may seem, they are not invincible. Their voices matter. Their courage matters. And their strength is what ultimately brought the truth to light.